So one of the guys caught me. And they thought I was a thief. They thought I was trying to look at their padlocks and all that. So I was beaten. I received my first mob justice. Yeah. So I thought, my head told me that the building we were living in had a lot of demons. So I'm like, I really need to do something spiritual about these demons. So I'm in my house and I'm smoking my weed. We used to lock up the house, like we'd say that my house is like a bomb. So I've blocked out all ventilations, everything, even the door, pale chini umeka nguo, ndio moshi isitoke, ikae tu huko ndani. You don't start by sleeping in the gutters. You start by that wine, drink, lunch, supper after dinner. Inaanzaga huko. So most people will start off while they are still young. Some others will start off when they are still old. There's a day I even asked my wife to lock me up in the house. And I told her if I stay sober for this one day, I won't drink again. That was just a week after I've started drinking. And I remember my wife locked me up. She went to work and I started screaming to attract the neighbors now. Started screaming. The caretaker comes, asks me, hey, what's happening? I told them, hey, I've lost my key. My wife went with the key, but I don't want to come out of the house. You do this, get this 500 bob, go buy me some drink and bring it to me. I'll be okay. So the guy brings me alcohol. By the time my wife was coming back, I was blacked out in the toilet.
Maybe I can ask then, at what point did recovery become a thing for you?
She's looking at me and she's telling me now, I don't know what to do about this thing. That point, when my wife told me that, I remember even myself telling me that now I've tried to stop and it's not working. So I'll not stop. I'll drink till I die.
In the marketplace, we often reward productivity, we often reward success, and sometimes we never understand or ask ourselves, what do people use to keep up with these metrics? Welcome to yet another episode of the Purpose Exchange podcast. My name is Pressy.
I'm Clara Rinchini.
And today we have a very special guest. Our second of the year. I'd like to introduce Daniel. Daniel is a child of God. He's the executive director of a rehab center called Ambassadors Wellness. He's a father of the nations, but precisely for children. He's a husband and he's a recovering addict as well as a counseling psychologist and a recovering specialist. Daniel, welcome so much to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you.
It's a pleasure.
We've been baying for your time since last year.
Yeah.
He's a very busy man. Yeah, karibu sana.
Asante.
So we usually have a section called the Reflections of the Week.
Okay.
And I'll have Clara start us off. What have you been thinking about, madam?
This episode, yeah, I'm kidding. I have been reflecting about God's restoration. I think today's topic is very timely because I once struggled with our topic in 2023. So I've just been reflecting about God's restorative power and the people he brings along your journey to help you recover and forge a new life forward. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, thank you. I think we should listen to that story.
Yes.
I'm already excited.
Please, dig a bit deeper.
I'm already excited. 2023, we love fresh things.
Yeah.
The most recent news. Yeah, but my week has been awesome. Because every day is a new day. And it's a God-given day when you just have to push things in His glory and just be there. But the reflection has been acceptance. I'm on a journey where I'm starting to believe that every day you have to start accepting where people are and just acknowledge that they are there. It's kind of living in the present, but now by looking at others in your space and understanding that I shouldn't have expectations, I shouldn't have much to think of from the others unless I think of how I'm going to offer it.
Mm.
Yeah, so that has been the reflection of the week. 2 weeks now. It's working out well because, you wake up in a space and I'm like, wow, what will Pressy be wanting me to do today? Or how do I change how Pressy views me or how she reacts to me? All those things. But if I come and I'm like, I'm ready for Pressy, whatever she comes with, it's a good way to live. So that's my reflection, and I'm hoping to really internalize and actualize that in my life. Thank you. So I ask you now.
What to go deep. Thank you so much. I've been reflecting about the nature of God's love. And I was speaking to Clara about this, I think 2 days ago, and I was telling her the way the Bible says of these 3 things, love, hope, and faith, love is the greatest. And I think God says that because love is also the riskiest. And I imagine that when God was sending Jesus to die on the cross, he knew that it would still not be enough for people because we still make a mockery of salvation. We still don't believe Jesus. But God still knew all this, and he still chose to love us and send his son to die, whether or not we accept that gift or not. And sometimes that, I think that is the nature or the mindset that God wants us to behold when we think about love, that you can love someone even at the risk of them hurting you, betraying you, even dying and leaving you, and it's risky, but it's the most fulfilling. So it takes a lot of courage to love. That's my conclusion. And I'm just asking God to please give me the courage to love my enemies and pray for those who persecute me, and to give me a breastplate of righteousness. Yeah. So that has been my reflection of the week. Yeah.
Nice.
So on to the crevices of the matter. We want to discuss substance abuse, substance addiction, and I think before Christ, BC.
Before Christ.
We all meddled here and there, but I'd really like to first, Daniel, you have such a powerful story. I'd want people to hear that story. Yeah. And for you, many of you don't know, Daniel is my counselor. He's my sounding board. What else are you? He wears very many hats in my life, and I met him through a very difficult time, and mukiniona hapa, the Lord has used him. So I would want you to share this very powerful story that I know of, but maybe others don't know.
Wow. Where do you have time?
Yes, because lots of it.
When before Christ, let's say before Christ. For me, I think I was still in Christ. I remember the first time I got born again, like born again. I was in class 4. And we were out somewhere playing, and there were these white guys who came. I'm born in a ghetto, so there are these people who used to come with these, I don't know what to call them, projectors, and they would showcase these movies about Christ. So I remember they came, and this movie had a DJ Afro version. So so it was in Swahili and Sheng, and I really related. And when I saw Christ, that part where they nail, they have like big nails, it's like the size of a hand, and it's going through the I cried. And then I was with my 2 boys. We are young, so I don't want to see my boys to see me crying. So, so I'm hiding, and I really felt it. So I went out that night, and I asked my dad what it meant, and my dad was all over there, was saying, "This is Jesus died for your sins," and all that stuff. And I got born again, and I cried a lot, and ever since that time, I believe I've been born again. So the devil has been really constant in my life. In part of my life before. What I believe I lacked at that time was a personal relationship with Christ. I knew about Christ because even up to date, I listen sometimes back. I used to listen to how I used to pray. And it's like I was dabbing the people who used to pray in church. You know how you recite lakini amjui Kikuyu, ningeomba na Kikuyu. So it's like you're doing it verbatim. Yeah. Whatever you hear them saying is what you say. And that meant that I wasn't really connecting with God for me directly. It was like I'm copying someone else's journey. Yeah, so aside from that, mimi nimeokoka class 4. I was a good student. As I mentioned, I've been born in Pangani, brought up in Githurai. Githurai, sahi ni poa, but before, there were 2 options for any young man. It's either you're a thief or a drunkard or an addict. And I think I chose to be an addict because niliogopa kukufa. Watu walikuwa wanapigwa risasi sana. Yeah, so I get to class 7. I'm a good performer at school. I'm really good. I was those straight students. I'm a prefect. I'm a games captain. And I don't know how I got to be the games captain because I didn't have a lot of talent. But I think it's because I was just a good guy. Class 7, my mom and dad go to an event. They were church-going folks. My dad was an elder. My mom has been a Sunday school teacher ever since I knew her. So they go to an event and then they come back and tell me that they have been told by the speakers that it's not good for a kid to stay in-house for long. You need to go out and socialize because of mental health issues. Mi najua mental health ni nini hiyo time. Na hizo sasa nimeanza kufukuzwa home. So I have to go out and play. I was bought a ball. I also got a bike. We were in the ghetto, but we were not ghetto-ish kabisa. Yeah, so I started going out. I remember the first time I went out, people were playing football or what they know as soccer. And I tried, and I couldn't. Nilikuwa na miguu mbili ya left. Hawa watu walinihurumia, wakajaribu kuniweka hadi kipa. Nikashindwa kushika mpira. So, I went to spectate. And even at the spectation crowd, I wasn't performing because I don't know how to shout. I don't know how to. Yeah, so I became isolated. But I remember there was this one friend of mine. He was a neighbor. And he was very jovial, you know, those, like the sanguines, very outgoing and all that stuff. And I approached him. I gathered enough courage to approach him and I asked him, nini inafanyanga uchangamke hivi? And the guy told me, hiyo ndio shida. I have something here that you can use and you'll be okay. So that's how I puffed my first weed and I drank my first sip of alcohol. I was in class 7. So ikaanza and it did the trick. Hiyo siku hadi niliongelesha kademu. Manze nililala na viatu nikifurahia. And I think now the association started. That for me to have fun, for me to be rowdy, for me to attract attention, I had to use something. So that's how my journey started. It wasn't much at the primary level because it would be done once in a while, nothing much. I remember I smoked my first cigarette in class 4 because there was a guy in my neighborhood who was, he was kind of the wealthiest person in my neighborhood in terms of appearances. And he used to drive a small convertible. He had a big house and this was rare. In the ghetto, this was rare. And he used to live right like 4 blocks from where we were. And every evening he would come, park his car, come out, walk past my home. I used to come out in the evening to just see people coming from work. And he would go to the shop, buy a whole packet of cigarettes, then come back smoking. And in my neighborhood, it was like a Christian-like neighborhood. So every home had their dad and mom who used to go to church together. And now this guy, he never used to go to church. And then he's kind of the wealthiest guy around. So in my mind, I used to tell myself, hey, maybe these cigarettes give this person money. Yeah, it's like he gets money from these things. And I remember following him one time. And he used to smoke half a cigarette, throw it away, then pick another one. So I picked that one that was dropped and I smoked way. I coughed. I nearly coughed my lungs out. And I remember I was so scared because I thought I was dying. And then I want to go tell my mom, but I don't want her to know that I'm smoking. So I remember going to the garden, picking onions and chewing the onions and smearing them on my mouth. And I went to my mom, told her, wow, I don't know what has happened to my chest. It's like it's bursting. And my mom was like, hey, drink some hot water, get some honey or something. But you see, I couldn't tell her what was happening. But the hot water did the trick. So that's how I started my journey. And I went to secondary, was still a good student. I was made a captain in my Form 1. By the time I'm getting Form 2, I think I was the DH assistant. And that was a big thing in my secondary. So that gave you a lot of privileges. You were never searched. You were allowed to go out and come back. The leave outs you were allowed. And I got an idea, because people were smoking in my school and they were drinking. And they approached me, some guys in Form 3. They told me, hey, see, we can do some business. You bring in this stuff, we give you some money. So I remember like a packet of cigarettes was something like 90 shillings or something. And they would give me like 300, 400 bob to bring it in. And you see, the funny thing was, I used to go, when we are open in school, they would give me all this stuff because my bag would not be searched. And then I'll get to the school gate, and then the teacher tells me, you put your bag there, come and help us to search these people. So it was very weird because I know my bag has drugs in it and I'm searching other people for drugs. So it started that way. But what happened eventually is that now every time I'm giving them the smokes and all that, they would invite me to use with them. So it wasn't much at that time, but with time, it progressed and became much. So now it got to a point where now I'm not even charging them. I'm just bringing as long as we'll use together. I put them in my bags. I remember it got me to start. I had like two personalities. There was the personality that the teacher knew, the teachers knew, and there was the personality that my friends knew. So to my friends, I was this lively person, people-pleasing person, but to my teachers, I was very assertive. And I was okay. I was in Christian Union. I'm doing all this stuff. I think I even spoke in tongues at some time. It was quite interesting. But remember, even this speaking in tongues is what I see people doing. So nikisikia mnaribasaika, mi nitarudia Kenya mnasema huko. So secondary, I remember Form 3, I got ill. Ulcers. My folks came in. I was flopping really badly. And they knew I was a bright student. So they start questioning. And I told them I'm anxious because my nurse at school mentioned that I might be undergoing stress. That's why I have those issues. Even for me, it was a reality. I never thought that alcohol and all those stuff can cause you health issues. So I take on that, and I say I'm anxious because of the exams that the way I'm flopping and the KCSE and all that stuff. So what does that do? So my parents beg me not to be anxious. They tell me you'll be okay. You just get a grade. We'll get you to university. It doesn't matter whatever grade you get. And you'll just get the minimum grade that can get you to university. And then they had some pocket money for me. I remember even getting the privilege of having milk brought to school because I can't take the greens and all that stuff. So what that did is that it's aggravated by drinking. I started drinking more. I started using more because it was like I'm a superstar in the school. I'm having special diets. I'm a good kid. Yeah, and I remember even jumping to go out, watch football. And I'm a captain. And coming back, there was a time we got caught. Luckily, I had not jumped at the same spot with the other guys. And then they asked me, hata wewe unarukanga? And I tell them, hapana, nilikuwa natafuta hawa watu wengine wenye wameruka. And I remember even the guys saying that tulikuwa nao. And then I say they're just haters. Ni juu nimewashika. Wanataka kuniweka kwa hii mambo. And that was my secondary school life. I never used to be very social, but when I drank, when I smoked weed, I was really outgoing. And that is what I was chasing all that time. So fast forward, I finished my secondary, I get a good grade, not as I would have expected, but I got a good grade that would have gotten me to uni. I come out. The friends I choose, drinking people, now in my neighborhood. I'm back in Githurai now. You know, our times we used to have that period where you'd wait for some time before going to uni. So I'm home. I have my parents trust me. They never knew. This whole time, I'm even a teacher in our Bible study at church. I remember I used to go in the morning. I have my Bible. I go, I sit with men and women of God.
Ish.
And we are speaking about the Bible and champuaing these stories and all that. Then, straight from the Bible study, I never even used to go to the service. See, I've been seen in church, so people know I have been in church. So I would go straight to buy my plug. We used to chew cat, but the ones that are called mogoka. So I would go straight there with my offering. Because I remember there was a time I got, my parents gave me 1,000 bob. I think there was some contribution in church. So that's the most amount of offering I've been given. I get 1,000 bob and I'm in church. And as I was going to church in the morning, I'm looking for a shop so I can lose money for this. Because I'm wondering, how can Jesus take all this money when I don't have money? So I go, I fail to find a shop. So I go to church with my 1,000 bob. So I'm seated and people are being asked to go to the front to take this money. But I'm wondering, sasa, hii pesa yezi enda na Yesu yote. So I start praying for God to do a miracle. Because to get me out of this. Because now I knew I had to go to the front and be seen at the basket. And then my mom and dad are at the front of the church. So they are waiting to see me. So as I was praying, I think I was bending. As I was praying, there was a kid playing outside. I don't know what the kid thought. So he threw some stones into the church. And one of the stones came to my feet. So to me, it was like a brilliant idea that now this is the offering that God wants. So I took my stone and I went dancing. I went to the front dancing and I put the stone in the basket. And I went and said hi to my dad and mom so that they would confirm I was there. And I gave whatever they gave me. But usicheze na pesa ya Mungu. Siku nililewa. We, pesa ya Mungu. But up to now, I'm trying to make amends with my offerings. So the progression was there. All the time, every time, my drinking, my smoking got worse. My parents took me to uni. Well, once they found out I was drinking, they said I wouldn't wait for the whole time. Kugojea shule, because they thought the area, they thought that where I lived was the problem. Sasa Githurai. So they said, let's get this person to school so that tuone ama tutamtoa kwa our friends. So I go to JKUAT. I do a course in actuarial science, something I didn't even know. But because I heard that Juja kuna fan, I wanted to go to Juja and nikue kwa hii fan. Huko ndio mambo iliharibika. So I go, I'm new to uni, I'm used to being a village boy. Now I'm in a place where there are all these people from different cultures and all this stuff. And then I start getting money, pocket money, the ones that your parents, because my parents, they didn't know how someone should survive. So they thought, lazima tupatie mtu pesa mzuri, ndio anakula vizuri, anakaa vizuri. So I used to get some good pocket money, according to my standards those time. So what they didn't know is that, because I remember the first day they took me to school, I was really ashamed. You know how unapelekwa shule na wazazi, and I'm like, I'm a big man. Why am I being taken by my parents to school? Then they go rent me a house. I refused to stay in the hostels in the school with the excuse that huko ndio drugs ziko. So sitaki kukaa huko. So they gave me a rental. I remember my mom hunting for a house next to a church. So I used to ask the agent, hiyo nyumba iko karibu na kanisa. And we got a house and we went, and then my mom is an intercessor up to today. So they had to bless the house now. So even before unpacking, my mom says, let's pray. So my mom prayed this long prayer. Wait, it was long. You know, the kind of prayers you take a break. The ones you unapumua uangalia ama bado. And then when I opened my eyes, there were two girls that were passing just at the front of the door. Hiyo kitu ilifanya niseme kai. Hawa wamenichomea. Watu watadhani huku mimi ni mokorino. So I decided that after they leave, I have to find a way to sanitize that because of the, you know, how you want to formulate a certain image that watu watakuwa na kuona hivi. So I remember I went out and I bought a whole, what do they call them? Naitangwa mtungi ya keg. So I bought that whole gallon and I took it to my house. And I went out telling people there was a party at my house. And people came. You know, it's in uni, people have free booze and all that. So people came, and then we are freshers, nini. So people came. The apartment ikajaa, watu wamejaa huko nje, and it was an overnight thing. So me, I blacked out at some point. So I woke up in the morning, kumejaa watu kwa hao yangu, and then the cops are at my front door. And I'm like, hey. So the guys are telling me, well, uko na wageni. I'm looking and there's some cops at the door. Unfortunately, the caretaker had been beaten up at night. The caretaker to our house. And now that was on me. So they had the landlord and the cops. And then the landlord said, wait, Jana, you have to move. Me, I don't even, because he saw a very small guy, a very thin, small guy. And he's like, well, this is all you. And I think that's the first time I thought I had a problem. The first time that my head iliniambia, maybe I have a problem. Because even how those cops were talking, walikuwa wanaona, kijana na unakaa kijana mzuri. Kwani nini mbaya hii mambo yote huko? Yeah, so my uni started that way. But now it became a drinking thing. Because when I went back, because they asked me to move. They gave me back my deposit, my rent. And it was, at that time, it was a lot of money because my parents had got me a room of like 9,000 bob. That was a lot because for me, you asked me, I needed just a room of like 2K. Mali naweza enda nijiekele, niamke niendelee sherehe zangu. It was like a change in place. And that is what I went for. I went back to the bar as I was taking back the mtungi. And that lady told me, see, there is a room behind here you can rent. And I remember I paid him for like 3 months. And then the rest of the money, nilikunywa tu hapo. And people would come because I drank for like 5 days straight. And people would come now and be, si mimi niko sitting room. Bedroom iko hapa nyuma, nitaenda tu. And I stayed. Then the person who was living next to me was a weed peddler. So we became friends. We used to drink together. Then in the day, he would sell weed. And then I started realizing that for me, weed used to help me to make friends. Because most college guys were really looking for weed, even chicks. So I knew that if I have a lot of weed, and I'm giving it to friends, I'm always called into parties because people know if this guy comes, he's loaded. I'm always being asked out to road trips and all that stuff. So that became my thing. So here I have the plug there. He's giving me free weed because I used to loan him money for his capital and all that. Then instead of giving me back money, he's giving me weeds. And that became my life. Class was just another thing. I knew how to make good friends. And it was because of using. And I think I was sociable in a way. So I would get to those guys I knew who were bookworms. Wengi walikuwa navuta bangi. I don't know why. Jamani ndio ilikuwa inafanya wasome. So I knew if I befriend them and I'm giving them all this weed, because I remember we used to come all the way to somewhere in Roysambu. There was a uni there. They had really good weed that was coming from abroad and other countries like that. So hiyo ilikuwa yangu. Then I have the other lock of it ya kupatia watu. So we would go, I would make friends. So every time I'm going for an exam, an assessment, a CAT, I have these guys around me. So they would help. Because I don't know anything. I was doing a very hard course. Actually, inakulipua. So because I'm not going to class, I don't know anything. So that went on, and by the time I was getting to my third year, weed had really affected my life. I was having bouts of paranoia. I was seeing things. I have tried to commit suicide like 2 times. One, I tried to jump off my balcony. I told my friends I'm going to a neighbor's place and I want to go through the balcony. And it was a really crazy thing. Because all these things, as they were happening, I was not myself. So even what made me believe was because like that one for jumping off a balcony, a lady neighbor recorded it. And then I was shown after I got sober. Another time I remember I woke up and I felt like, I think I was very delusional at that point. So I thought, my head told me that the building we were living in had a lot of demons. So I'm like, I really need to do something spiritual about these demons. So I'm in my house and I'm smoking my weed. We used to lock up the house, like we'd say that my house is like a bomb. So I've blocked out all ventilations, everything, even the door pale chini umeka nguo ndio moshi isitoke ikae tu huko ndani. So as I was doing that, something tells me, so you go and smoke this weed in your neighbors' houses, and it will chase away the demons. So that was the spirit talking to me. And I go out, I start smoking my weed. So I have my 2 weeds, I'm smoking, then I lift that cup thing on the door. Yeah, the latch where you can put your hand in. So I'm lifting it up and then I'm doing the smoke into your house. So one of the guys caught me. And they thought I was a thief. They thought I was trying to look at their padlocks and all that. So I was beaten. I received my first mob justice. Yeah. But now some guys came and saved and talked to the guys. I told them, this is a student. So they let me go. Now the thought was so obsessive that even those people who beat me, to me, they were the demons. They were sent by the demons to beat me so that I don't chase them away. So I remember one night, I told my friend, let me go smoke some weed at the rooftop. And I walked to the rooftop. And as I was there, I remembered that story. Hey, these spirits are still living with us. They're still in this building. So, you know those tanks for water at the rooftop. So an idea came that I should smoke this weed. Then I go put the smoke into the tanks. Then I stir the water with the smoke. I don't know where those ideas were coming from. And now the idea was, once these people do their showers and wash their calves, watawasha demons. So I decided, let me do that. So unfortunately, as I was doing that, because you have to get to a higher place to get to the tank. As I was doing that, I fell into the tank with water. And I stayed. I don't know what was going on, but I stayed. So my friend really noticed, hey, ujamaa amekaa sana. And he came up. So he tells me, alikujanga, the reason he knew I was in the tank is because I was singing to some reggae tunes inside the tank. And then I'm holding up, so what he saw was my hand holding up the weed. Because imepata maji. Ati nataka ikauke. So when he was telling me that, that's when I started realizing, it's like I'm going nuts. And it was very scary. It's very scary. By the way, it was scary because I started remembering some things. And I remember there's a certain time I slept under the bed. There's a certain time I woke up in a corner somewhere, nimejifunikia na mablanketi na manguo. And you don't know until you are a bit sober. Until you sober up kidogo unashindwa, hey, what am I doing? Yeah. There's a time I walked barefooted for like 10 kilometers mahali. And I'm getting there and then kabaridi kananipiga na amka nashindwa, hey, nimefika huku aje. So all these things started coming up. And I'm like, well, things are not going well. So the remedy for me was to stop smoking and then drink. But now the drinking was not giving me the same high as the weed. So I used to drink a lot. I started drinking a lot because I'm afraid of the weed. All my friends knew I was a weed guy. So I got to a point where I had to defer like school because I knew watu wakifikiria bangi wananifikiria. In fact, my name was Ganja. My second name is Gachanja. So they used to remove this sha, unaitwa tu Ganja, unashindanga tu. Even there's a friend who used to tell me, hey, we ni kaa chimuli bana. Unashindanga tu na kamoshi. Either ni bangi ama fegi. So I deferred, went home. My parents, they were hardworking people. So I was shindi home. So they don't know. So I just went to my mom. I told him, hey, I think I need to commute. I didn't tell them I have deferred because I know if I said I deferred, no money. So I told them I've decided to come, live at home, then commute. So I would get daily fare. But now you get the fare, unatoka na bag, unaenda base. Asubuhi wende unafunguanga base, unaenda nika umeenda shule. Vitabu unawekewa kwa counter, unakaa chini. So you start drinking in the morning, you wait for that stuff we call jaba, that cart. You wait for your jaba, then siku inaenda tu. Jioni unarudi nika umetoka shule, na bag yako unarudi home. And that went on, and my parents never knew anything about me. But now what happened, my drinking escalated. By the time I was going back to school, I wouldn't start the day without drinking. So it had gotten to a point where everything I did, I had to pass through the bar first, then go to school because I had shakes. I had really severe headaches. Life was like, usipokunywa utaenda. It was scary. And I used to go. Sasa naamka, I go to the pub. I tell myself I'm just having one to calm my nerves. Then I go to class. Because now even the guys who were schooling me were wameenda mbele. So I'm trying to catch up. But it never happened. Because now I would go, start drinking, fall into the drinking. Find myself in other cities. I don't know what used to happen. I'm in other cities. I'm doing drinking from morning to evening. I'm going away for like weeks, coming back. And then I knew how to make friends. So I would drink with anyone. Mimi nilikuwa ule mlevi. I would do anything for alcohol.
Yeah.
I would enter a place. I don't have money, but I know I have to drink. So I'll go into a place, look at the table yenye watu wanakunywa sana. Ile meza ndio iko na pesa. So I would look for the guy who seems like he's the one who's buying and listen to his argument. People used to call me professor. I would listen to his argument and then I would come up with an idea to support his argument. So nita support. So kama mnaongea juu ya ball, mimi ni mtu wa Arsenal. Lakini mwenye ananunua ni wa Chelsea. Mimi hiyo siku mimi ni wa Chelsea. Na tutakuwa mabeshte sana. So it became my way of survival, and then I became an errand boy for guys. I used to be very street smart. I knew where you would get anything you wanted. Anything. So guys used to love having me around because they know huyu jamaa ni resourceful sana. So that's how I ended up now getting to a place where I even decided there's no need for me to school anymore. I can just do away with the schooling because it's disrupting my drinking. I used to say, inanisumbua. And I got into the drinking now full time. Got to a place, school fees inatumwa, and by that time, nilikuwa nafanya parallel. So natumiwa school fees, inalipia watu wengine, wanalipea pesa. Ninapiga sherehe. By this time, I'm even having blackouts. I'm drinking for like days without knowing what I'm doing. I remember my last blackout yenye ilikuwa mbaya sana. I went to the coast. I did a party for guys in school. Nikasema nawafanyia farewell. I think I had 110 Gs. Nikasema nawafanyia farewell alafu nianze biashara ndio niache shule. So I did a party at around 3 a.m. in the morning. The booze ikaisha. So I went out with some guys to find booze. Then nikapata na basi inaenda coast. Mimi nikaingia. Kaambia majamaa acha nifike coast na cab. Nikabeba I carried like 250 ml of a drink. Took it, blacked out in the car. Nikamkia Mombasa. Nikamwambia majamaa mimi nashukia hapa. Because nimeamka tu hata sijui niko wapi. I jumped off the window of the bus. nikaruka chini. So by the time I'm getting down, there's this guy with a tuk-tuk coming. He nearly hit me.
Okay.
But sasa badala ya aende, alisimama akaanza kunizushia. So I tell this guy, do you drink? Akaniambia, hey, then take me out, we go look for a drink instead of all this noise. So as we're going, namwambia, wewe, how much do you make in a day? Because you remember, I have like 100 G's in my pocket. How much do you make in a day? Akaniambia, I think 800 and something. And then fuel. I gave him 2 G's. Nikamwambia, sasa now you're my chauffeur. Haufanyi kazi tena leo. So we go, he takes me to this club. We go in. I used to love cake a lot because of the ulcers problem I had. This hard stuff, or sometimes I would drink it for so long and then it starts reacting with my body. So at times you would even find me in a club, I'm drinking and I have anti-acid pills in my pocket because I can't stay without drinking, but I have to take care of my stomach. So this guy takes me to a pub. We get this bouncer, nikampatia I think 1,000 bob. Nikamwambia mimi nataka meza kwa kona na wasichana 3. So he tells me he's going to get the girls. The 3 girls were 2 for me, 1 for my driver. So we want to have a party, like celebrate that I'm in Mombasa. So the thing I remember is that I was very tired of the travel and the drinking. So I sat in a chair somewhere. And then one chick didn't want me to sit down. So he comes and starts pulling me back to the dance floor. And I tell her, let me just settle for like 30 minutes. Me, I used to sleep like, you know how you sleep for 30 minutes and you wake up and then life goes on. I tell her, let me sleep for like 30 minutes and I'll wake up. But you drink, I'm going to pay for the drinks. But she refused. So she was wearing a dera, these long dresses. And she comes to the front and then pulls up the dera na akaniweka ndani. We, mi niliona giza. Niliona blackout zoom. Kama matai imezima. That was on a Monday. I woke up in Nairobi on a Saturday. That Saturday. Somewhere on Ronangala Street, because upon your matatu za Githurai zilikuwa zinabeba. And then, there was a local pub I used to frequent there. So I wake up there on the stairs. I have a bottle of a 750 thing and a packet of cigarettes. Then on this pocket, I have that, remember that 5 shillings, 5 pop? That's the Pentagon thing. That was the only money I had in my pocket. So I wake up and I'm looking at the buses and I'm like, kwani siku hizi Mombasa kuna basi za Githurai na zinalipisha 50 bob. Hey, that was scary. Because I remember the guy who woke me up, I asked him, what day is it? He told me Saturday. And I'm like, Saturday? Hey, I told him, do you have some money? Buy me some lunch, I'll give you this alcohol. Because I was so frightened. I don't understand what is going on. So he bought me some rice and meat. And as we were eating, I'm like, what is happening? Because I'm wondering, I was in Coast, I had money, I don't have money now. What is going on? And I tried to recollect what had gone on. Sikukumbuka hata kidogo. So I would remember some beats. Some mornings, I'm at the beach, I'm smoking my stuff, and nasema ati naona sunrise mahali. Remember there was a time I even jumped over the fence to Serena Hotel in Mombasa. Ati nione wazungu huko tupute banki now. And those were beats, but the most of the time I don't remember what I did, where I went, who I was with. And that was the first time I literally fell into depression. I didn't know at that time, but I fell into depression because I started having thoughts of even committing suicide. It was so heavy that nilikuwa nakaa nasikia, I don't need to live. Kabisa, because everything I'm touching inaharibika. Hakuna kitu nimefanya. Even the girlfriends I used to date, because I used to date for like a week, then the girlfriend will see hapa hakuna future. Because he's drinking 24/7. I was like destroying everything that I was putting my hands on. And that really got to me. I survived through the depression by drinking. Every time those thoughts would come, I would take in immense amounts of alcohol and just zone out or pass out. And that became the frequency now. up to a point where now I got tired, left school, went back home. Things spiraled down really badly. My parents started chasing me out of the home because I started stealing from home because I know I'm not getting enough cash for my drinking. Yeah, and I left home at some point. My drinking just escalated. Now this time I spent another like 10 years out in the world, just drinking. I never used to work. I never used to do anything. It was just surviving. I had some friends were rich, some friends were thugs. So I would just maneuver. I would just get away to find alcohol. There are times I would get some gigs here and there. If you sat with me, I would convince you to buy anything or to do anything or to start up any business. But now I never used to actualize anything. It was, we start somewhere, tukiendelea nimekunywa, sitokei, ama nimekutukana, nimwambia uko na ujinga. And life went on like that. Along that path, I got my current wife pregnant. And I remember it was such a funny story because she got pregnant because I had found a way of really getting people who had money, even girlfriends. I used to have girlfriends who had money, who would support drinking. So mi kazi yangu ni kujuanga tu zile places zinabamba. Na kupeleka, wewe unalipa. Mi tunaendelea na maisha.
Ulikuwa unawekwa?
Nilikuwa nawekwa. Asubuhi nakupeleka na kuzindikisha unaenda job, mi narudi 2 days. Utanipata jioni nimekugoja.
Maybe I can ask then, at what point did recovery become a thing for you?
Yes. So I get this chick pregnant. She comes and tells me I'm pregnant. I laugh. I remember I told her, I laughed, then I cut the phone. I hung up and she called back. And she told me, kama utaki si useme, tunaweza toa ama nini. Nikamwambia hapana, si ati sitaki, nikufurahia nimefurahia. Lakini at the same time hata kama nimefurahia nimeshindwa nitakusaidiaje. Juu mimi mwenyewe siwezi jisaidia sasa mimi naona tu kae na Mungu akusaidie. But this was some kind of a turning effect. Because now I used to drink and then I'm considering mazina nakuanga na mdem mahali yako na ball. My folks got to know about it. So they tried to pull my wife closer in a bid to see whether they would get me to be responsible. So somewhere in 2014, I get sick. I get hepatitis. And I was admitted to a hospital. And I stayed for like 3 days. And I came out, went straight to drinking, relapsed, nikarudishwa hospitali tena, nimezidi, nilianguka tu kwa bar. When I came out of the hospital this time, I didn't feel like drinking. The thought to drink was not on my mind. So I stayed okay for a month. I'm taking my meds. I'm doing well. And I stay. My wife comes back. We have a daughter. So they're like, well, I think this guy is serious. So my family decides to move me. They moved me to Embakasi. They set me up. They asked me what I would want to do. I didn't have many skills, but I had seen a guy with a good barber shop making some good money. So I said, let me try a barber shop. And then we said, let's have a barber shop, a salon, and a cyber cafe. And we start up the business and it's making good money. I'm sober. Now what happens, I start becoming a local tourist. Because now I'm sober. And I'm employing some guys so I don't have to do the work. So I'm moving. But you see, my movement was in clubs. So I'm going to clubs for lunch, we meet. And then I tell people these things you're drinking, these are poison. They will kill you someday. Yeah, and then I start falling into relationships with some girls I would meet in the bars. And you see, they're drinking. So one day I relapsed. And I relapsed really badly. After 4 months, like 4 months of being sober. Relapsed really badly to a point where I tried to stop drinking and I couldn't. Because I knew I had tested sobriety.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a good thing for me. And now I remember trying, literally. There's a day I even asked my wife to lock me up in the house. And I told her if I stay sober for this one day, I won't drink again. That was just a week after I've started drinking. And I remember my wife locked me up. She went to work and I started screaming. to attract the neighbors now. Started screaming. The caretaker comes, asked me, hey, what's happening? I told them, hey, I've lost my key. My wife went with the key, but I don't want to come out of the house. You do this, get this 500 bob, go buy me some drink and bring it to me. I'll be okay. So the guy brings me alcohol. By the time my wife was coming back, I was blacked out in the toilet. And she's looking at me and she's telling me now, I don't know what to do about this thing. That point, when my wife told me that, I remember even myself telling me that now I've tried to stop and it's not working. So I'll not stop. I'll drink till I die. And I remember even giving up my business to my wife. I told him, I want to be a professional drinker. I am not doing anything. I'll just be drinking. And that's what happened for the next 5 years. I drank every day for those 5 years. And it was chaotic. It was really, really chaotic. But now, after those 5 years, that's when things really deteriorated at some point. In 2018, started falling sick and being admitted to hospitals. And then one day, before my mom had mentioned something about rehabilitation. So one day, they decided that now, imezidi, huyu lazima aende. So that's how I found myself on January 11, 2019. Found myself in a rehab center, somewhere in Ruiru. And it was the beginning of a new thing for me. I didn't think I was ever going to stop drinking. That was never in my mind. But it happened. So I went in, did 102 days in rehab. One thing that stood out for me, the whole course, it was the first time I ever listened to someone sharing their story like I'm doing. And to me, it's like they understood what they were sharing about because they had a lived experience. That really changed my perspective in terms of thinking that I would be sober. And this guy also shared about you trying to be sober for a year. And if nothing changes, you can go back to your drinking and all that stuff. And I thought I would. But I had some reservations because of my friends and also the last drink I had. The last drink I had was a jug of keg. That is the January 11th, 2019. And I was like, see, I should go out in style. Niende nirudi ninunue hata kijemison ama kinini. Yani nikunywe kitu ya maana alafu niambie pombe kwa heri. But it never happened. And it was so miraculous for me. I tell you what God has done for me in my recovery. I can't say there is something I mapped out to do so that I would stay sober. Because I remember the first day I was leaving rehab, my people come to pick me. And I'm like, mumeniaka huku sana. Hata sitaki kuendanisha na nyinyi. Niko na biashara zangu zimekwama. So the first day out of rehab, I'm in a bar. So I go sit in a bar. My brother is there, my bestie. They are all drunk. Walianza kunigojea asubuhi. It was like a bash. Some of them knew I was coming from Dubai. Others knew I was in a training somewhere, polisi. Sasa nimekuja kutembea. And we had decided that I was going to drink that day. So we were going to leave the place, our local bar, go to a place in the Mali. My friend had a ranch there. Go stay there. There was a hotel there. Do the drinking there. So my plan was to drink on Friday. It was a Friday. I was to drink on Friday. Saturday nitoe lock. Mnajua kutoa lock. Saturday nitoe lock. Saturday afternoon nisikunywe. Then Sunday nishinda nikiswim. Monday nianze recovery. Monday sasa nianze kuwa sober tena. So we planned. I was go me, my brother and two friends. So the taxi comes and we are leaving town to go to Emali. And I asked my brother, tuende hapa kwa fast food. Ninunue some fries and chicken tuende tukikula sijakula. So my brother is like, okay. And he's drunk. He was totally drunk. So we walk in. As we were waiting for the chicken, I asked my brother, do you think I should go with you on this trip? And my brother tells me, jamaa yenyewe, hata mimi nimefikiria hiyo kitu. Anza umetoka rehab leo. Na unataka kukunywa leo. Si hata wewe ni mnoma. That was a wake-up call for me. It was I don't know what switched my mind because I never even went back to that camp. I paid for the food, told my brother bye. I went home. I took a motorbike, went straight home. I locked myself up. It was a challenging time because I remember I would go to the shopkeepers. They were so used to me smoking that alikuwa ananiona anaanza kupiga sigara. Mtu anakuona anajua umekujia tu sigara. It was very challenging, and that was that my brother's experience was a gift from God. Then another experience I had in a bar, because I'm looking for friendship. Zile friendships nilikuwa nazo ziko tu kwa mabar. I tried church, by the way. I tried church. Just after rehab, I tried to go to church. And then I went to a church. It was a very upbeat church. Poa tu. Kuna youth nini. So siku moja nimeenda meeting ya youth. Sijui kwa nini nilisikia nikiwa peke yangu. Because I'm going to church, and then you know how churches we have it's kind of cliques. Yani tushazoeana. So after the fellowship, unaona watu wameanza tu kucollect into groups hivyo. Na wewe uko pale hujui mtu, unaangalia tu unasema hawa watu wanakaa wanajua chenye wanafanya. So nikasema mimi church nitakuwa naenda Sunday. So nikaanza kurudi kwa mabeste, and it was a very challenging thing because people would spike my drinks. It was just grace. They would spike my drink. I would change glasses. I wouldn't go to another table nirudi nitumie the same glass. Got to a point where I would see and my mind would tell me ama nikunywe alafu nilete shida niseme presi ameniekea. But it never happened by the grace of God. And I stayed that way for 3 months. Up to a time, I remember I went to a pub with some ladies, and then they were drinking, I'm not drinking. We were launching a pub, a friend's pub. Na ameniita, hawako wanasikia amani nikiwa si huko. So ameniambia ati I'm in charge of the meat and stuff because I'm not drinking. So as the ladies were drinking, one of them got so drunk. So she approached me and told me, I need you to take me home. So I told her, it's 9. Hii kitu ni hadi asubuhi. Chill, I'll take you home. You just go relax, kunywa maji, zitashuka. But the lady, I think alikuwa mlevi sana. So she came back again. And I chased her away. But this time, nikamwambia umelewa. I think she got angry. Alikaa chini. And she picked a beer bottle. Akanirushia. Nilisikia na ilikuwa na pombe. Nilipiga wall ikalia kama bomb. And I think I got a cut somewhere from the ricochet or something. And that was a very scary moment for me. Because I was like, yani nitakufa kwa bana, mimi si mlevi, hata sijakunywa. And I remember wanting to confront her, and the guys thought I was going to be physical with her. And they held me back. So the lady started hurling insults. Hey, kunywagi unafanya nini kwa bar? And I think that statement really clicked in my mind because it was like a question for me.
Yeah.
That if you're not drinking, what are you doing in the bar?
Yeah.
We come here to drink. And I remember I left, went home. The following day, I went to my first support group. I think just that grace reminded me of some things that I was supposed to do. I went to my first support group. So ever since that time, I think my life has really, really changed. That's how I met recovery. At first, I was just being sober. But there's a point where now God releases that grace of recovery. And recovery is not only the stopping to use. Now it's the whole thing, the growth, the experiences, the spiritual awakening you get. And it has been so profound because things change. It has taken some time. Right now, I think today is on?
6th of February.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm 7 years and 28 days sober.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been a journey because it's like taking back all the devil had stolen.
Ashindwe katika jina la Yesu.
So the journey has been brilliant because I got my wife back.
You became a dad of plus.
Yeah, I had 2 kids. I had 2, and life started becoming beautiful because I went back to school. I started from certificate level, did certificate, diploma, degree. Now I'm doing my master's. Work has been good. Started up with being employed, moving from small jobs, going up the ranks, getting to a place where you have this idea you can. I remember when I was in rehab, I had this kind of thing where I asked, in rehab, I made peace with Jesus at some point. I remember asking, my mom once visited, and I asked my mom, hii kitu watu wanasemanga kuokoka. Kuokoka ni nini? Because I told her, mi nasikianga nikaa naokokanga daily. Lakini nikiamka asubuhi, mi sisikii nikaa nimeokoka. And I remember my mom reading something on the wall. On the wall of the rehab, it was written that this is a one day at a time program. And my mom used the same phrase. Akaniambia, at a salvation, it's a one day at a time thing. Just wake up and decide I'm born again. And choose to live like Christ. And choose to testify. And I remember I started, every morning I would wake up and greet a certain guy who was like a security guy in that place. Bwana asifiwe. It was so awkward for me that hizo terms hata hazikuwa zinaweza kutoka. So I'd go like, hey, Bwana asifiwe. And it became a pattern. I started reading the word. I remember I read the New Testament like 4 times in rehab. And I got a lot of spiritual experiences just while I was in rehab. I remember right now I own a facility, a rehab facility, but I drew that facility while I was in rehab. It was like something came and I was like, wow, I would want, I think at first it was money motivated because I was counting all the heads in rehab na angalia nasema, wow, ama jamani mamillionaire. Then I drew my own rehab. Then as time went on, I really got a passion of helping people because one of the really liberating things for me was just learning that addiction is a disease. Because I used to really beat myself up in terms of thinking, kwani mimi ni mbaya aje? Because out of that share, ni vitu mingi sana nimefanyia watu wetu, my dad, my mom, my bro, I introduced my bro to alcohol while he was still in secondary school. Nilikuwa nampelekea pombe shule, nini. So I caused a lot of chaos. And I was those guys, I was like the devil's advocate. Mimi nilikuwa nafurahia watu wakikunywa. Mimi ningeona ukunywi nilikuwa nashindwa, wewe uko na shida gani? And I would like coerce you to drink because I was very loud in my drinking. And I think this is something that I have come to realize, and it's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. The devil really funds his work. Like funding. Yeah, because I used to wonder, mazi sipatangi pesa ya kitu ingine yoyote. Lakini pesa ya sherehe, pesa ya sherehe zikosi. Na si sherehe yangu pekee. It's like sherehe ya watu. People would hang around me because they knew if you hang around this guy, utakosa kukunywa. Because I attracted good friends. I would even be, you know how these socialites are paid for appearances? I would be paid by local pubs to drink in their places. Because they know, jamaa akikaa hapa, haki watu watakaa. And then there was a guy fulani huko ni kama alikuwa amenichukulia akamote. I think I'm going to look for him. He would even leave me in his pub. Ananiambia wewe ndio unasimamia. Because he knows I'll drink, hata atapata excess money because drinks zingine nanunuliwa hata sikunywi, nimekunywa sana. So the devil really knows how to fund his work, and it's a destructive work. And that is what has been happening in the society. So life has taken a turnaround for me because what I've realized is what I used to do in my drinking is the same thing I'm doing, but in another light. It's like now I'm kind of advocating for God, Jesus in people's lives, and I'm trying to help people walk this journey. And it's not something that I can call. I don't think it's a passion. I see it as a job. You know how you receive an assignment. Yeah, it's like an assignment. It's like you wake up every morning and you have an assignment to do, and it feels so good to do it. And There's nothing as good as seeing people's lives changing. It's a profound. It's like I tell myself, I've been given front row seats to miracles. You know how you see miracles on a daily. Like for me, practically, I see miracles on a daily. And it's such a good thing because you get to be at the center of it. You know it's not you. You know it's God. But you're enjoying. Because it's like God is giving you that privilege to enjoy seeing it. I've gone back to school. I'm trying to build a family life. I'm doing theology, just to advance, kind of the knowledge that you would have when helping people. And, recovery has been a gift. One thing I believe is that it's a gift that you have to give. If you don't give, you lose it.
Yeah.
If you don't give it away, you will lose it. Because what I'm looking for in life is peace. And peace comes from doing your assignments. You see, fulfilling those callings and all that stuff. If you're not in your calling, there's a way that you feel like you have unresolved issues in your life. And you start focusing more on self, the things you're lacking, the things you don't have, the things you desire. They are not bad. They're not bad to have desires and all that stuff. But once you in those callings and on those assignments, it's more or less not about you. Yeah, it's not about you totally. So sometimes it's a challenge because you need to balance. I've been called out so many times, even by family, I think you call me out
all
sometimes.
the time.
Yeah, I've been called out because people think and people see that you're overworking yourself, you're giving too much, you're not even giving family enough. But I think God knows how. See how we have said Satan knows how to fund. God knows how to direct.
Amen.
You see, it's like the director of this show. God is such a person in life. It's not the funding comes. See, Satan's funding is really hata ijuangi inakujaje. Unapata unafunguliwa tu mapesa, unafunguliwa tu connections wa watu tu wabaya nini. And it comes with a lot of sorrow. It comes with a lot of losses, a lot of pain. But for God is a very, directors have money. See, a movie director has money. But he doesn't just splash money. Atapatia press yake, apatie Clara yake, mahali inafaa tu. Na kulingana na ile role unafaa kucheza at that time. And saa zingine anachange set, anasema umeenda kwa role ya mtu mwingine, rudi hapa kidogo. So that is how it has been with my life. I'm just waiting for direction. God tells me do this. And then there are these opportunities that come up. You see, opportunities like sharing, like doing service for people.
Yeah.
Those are things that I don't need to be told by God. Those are things that wherever they come, whenever they come, I pick them. Because I know that as long as I'm doing service, hakuna mahali nakosea Mungu. It will never be ati you're called to service na unakosea Mungu. Zile vitu hata vingine nakosea Mungu ni praise ya tuende lunch ati na huko. Nitamwambia hiyo masaa tuliokoa kama mtu fulani na hapa hivi. So hizo tunaweza angalia, but whenever you're called, because like now sharing on such a platform, tafikia mtu mmoja.
It will. Yeah, and we're so grateful to have you, Daniel. Every time I hear your story, it moves me. It's like the perfect story of redemption and restoration, because it was a battle for about 20 years, if I'm right.
Yeah, 16 zile moto.
and I always say that you're one of the wisest people that I know, because I am a product of your wisdom. Yes, through Christ. And so we are so grateful. And I think because it's such a vulnerable topic for us, I would want you to quickly and briefly define what substance abuse is, so that we can have a better understanding. And then I will ask Clara to maybe share if it's something you've seen in the marketplace. I do know that you also help people with the marketplace. and we can just see how that has affected professionals and even believers, because I know there's so many stigmas around it.
Yeah.
So from a professional, from an addiction point of view, what is substance abuse? What is addiction?
I think I'll talk about addiction because it encompasses all that. Because substance abuse is like misuse of different substances. But when it comes to addiction, it's a bit broader. Because in addiction, we are talking about a mental illness. We are talking about a brain disease, which is chronic, by the way. Once you are diagnosed with addiction, unaishi nayo. And when you think of chronic illnesses, we have heard of stuff like blood pressure, diabetes, all those stuff. So these are diseases that are not really treatable, but they are very manageable. So addiction falls in that category, that it's chronic. Secondly, it's very progressive. You don't start by sleeping in the gutters. You start by that wine, drink, lunch, supper after dinner. Inaanzaga huko. So most people will start off while they are still young. Some others will start off when they're still old. What I know science has proven ni ati wale wanaanza wakiwa wazee kidogo, yao inaenda haraka kidogo. Than wale wanaanza na huko chini. And it's very progressive in terms of it even has stages. So in a nutshell, like we have the experimentation stage where someone starts. We have the social use stage where you're using with friends, na nini. Then you go to something called the instrumental stage, where now you're using this drug to do something for you, or this substance to do something for you. It's like you're copying, it's like you're rewarding yourself, all those stuff.
Yeah.
You move from the instrumental part, you have the habitual use stage, which now there are patterns. It's becoming a habit. Mimi kila Friday lazima niende dunda.
Yeah.
Saa zingine kuna mtu baada ya kazi lazima. So it becomes a habit. Like weed, tulikuwa na funny one ya ile time Bob Marley alikufa. Bob Marley died, I think, on 20th of April or something. So every 420.
Is that why it's called that? Okay.
So unapata kuna mtu anaamka 420 asubuhi.
To smoke.
Asmoke arudi alale. So those are some of the habits that form around that. And then from the habitual stage, you go to the compulsive stage. In compulsive stage, you find that mtu anahitaji kutumia. Because if you don't use, there are consequences. So it has some proponents of something like some things we call tolerance and withdrawals. Tolerance being your body is used. So unakunywa 2 unalewa. Sasa unakunywa 10 na bado ulewi. So that's the tolerance bit that comes in it comes in the habitual and compulsive stages up and down. Withdrawals. Nikikosa kutumia, something happens.
Yeah. And
they are very severe. And we have seen, like what you have just said, we work in these workplaces. And you can tell. If you know, you can tell. Someone is heading the wrong way. Yeah, so addiction now has those things. It's chronic, progressive, then it's relapsing. It's brain relapsing. People get back to it. Because once you're hooked to something, that thing has rewired your brain. So your reward system kwa mind yako imeanza kujua ile kitu, kuna kitu inafanyanga ni feel, unaona. So that's why you find people will stop for some time but eventually go back, and you're wondering, why is this person going back, disregarding the consequences zenye ziutokea. So people will find themselves going back, and I think generally that's what I can define addiction as a chronic, progressive, brain relapsing mental disorder. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. I think even as you were speaking, I was like, when I used to drink, where was I seeing myself? Because you never start as an addict. But I'd like to give Clara this opportunity to tell us, in the marketplace, is it something that you have seen, experienced perhaps? Please share with us, madam.
Kwanza alisema kuna ka story. I think hata ni time too mbaya.
No, first, thanks so much for sharing that. Your story, your perspectives, it's so rich. Because I think someone who's listening knows where they are, you know? You're like, okay, nimefika wapi, as Pressy was saying. So I will answer those two questions in one. My first job was in the advertising space. And that place, the organization, used to have an office bar. And the office bar, ulikuwa unanunua on credit. So you can buy cash, but actually it was not cash. It was you buy, then at the end of the month, inakatwa kwa salu. So really, hakuna kitu ina...
exchange.
Exactly. I could even have forgotten my phone at home, but guess what? There'll be drinks. And then also the culture had that, I don't know if it's the same today because I left the industry. The culture at the time was very pro-drugs. Okay. It's like the creative space. But for me, I've seen that being perpetuated in that way as one of the ways where the organization has a bar and the bar is not necessarily separate from the office. This is part of, some people go for lunch and do pool because the pool table is also at the office bar. So there's also a TV at the office. So it's not just a bar. It's like there's also, if you want to play pool, shoot pool, you're shooting pool there. So you might not want to drink, but I mean, we are here,
The atmosphere is right.
And it's Friday.
It's Friday, exactly. Yeah. Or we've just had a hard meeting or, and it started off that way in the organizations I've seen. Another way I've seen it is having alcohol being subsidized for people working in your organization. So maybe because of where you work, I'm just also not trying not to name names, but because of where you work, you don't buy liquor at the same price. So people will be like, economy, you're like, economy where? Me, I have an employee discount or I have access to the retailers. So I've seen that as a way that people start off experimentally, because you have to be exposed. You have to be either around people who are drinking or around where drinks are being circulated in a very, in a juice, you understand, but juice ikona ka, I've also seen it being a reward system where, like, if you do a great job, you're bought for the finest whiskeys or you're the finest. I remember, like, sometimes colleagues would travel and the gift they bring you is the liquor for that place. You go to Uganda, unaletewa waraji, so it was also being wired as having expense. Like, this is a reward. You understand? This is something nice to have. And this is something aspirational, especially for young professionals. You've come out of Campo. As you were saying, we forget that human beings are social beings. People want to fit in, and it's not a wrong need. But someone is like, oh, the way to fit in here is, get the drinks or be the drinks person or participate in the drinks, especially like for babes. They're like, oh, just, be present and appreciate. You're like, oh, thanks, And you just know, if I'm around this guy, there's always going to be drinks. And then how that progressed personally was that then even the place we used to go have lunch was like a local, there was like food, but there was also a bar. So we used to share like cases in the lunch. Tunachapa, tunaenda job. Then after job 5, office bar, simefunguliwa, tunaendeleza hapo. So I think, and it wasn't an issue because we were all doing it together.
It was
so it's like we're working. It's like fun. And then a lot of the brands we were working on were also alcohol related brands. We were getting alcohol. We were going for events. So with time, you are like, this is life. Woe unto you, like me, if you move industries and then you go to a place where people don't drink. And you're like, you've gone for an office lunch. Guys are ordering sparkling water, virgin mojito, iced coffee. In my mind, I'm like, well, but who's ordering the drinks? You get.
Mm.
So you start seeing, okay, there's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
I also saw substance abuse being present in the marketplace through things like pills. So performance enhancing drugs. So someone would take some pills. They're not sick. They're not diagnosed, for instance, with ADHD, but they have access to that so that they can work overnight and deliver. And it works. I mean, that's why it's called substance abuse. Like, there is a use. So it works, and then over time, it becomes a thing. And then now when your team is working on the project, it's like, by the way, guys, if you're super tired, I can give you something to just like, give it a kick. I also saw that in regards of cat, as you're saying, like there was a wave of Jabba juice. People didn't want to sleep. So you're like, I can really go for a 3-day work week if I just get that Jabba juice. And the problem was that it wasn't perceived as an issue. So a lot of people progressed from the misuse to addiction. I think it also, here in this environment, what comes into strong play is also your background. Because if your family is different, they start calling it out. But if you don't have a close support system, people who are observing you and they're like, this is not normal, this is not good, then you are surrounded by people who are doing the same things. So that's how I've seen it in the marketplace.
Thank you so much, Clara. And I really resonate with you because I also started in the advertising industry. And just to add on to what you're saying, I think for me as a leader, what I saw beyond what you've described is the mental issues that it brought, because many times I would be driving people to rehab. Many times I didn't know it was depression even before I was a psychologist. So someone is calling you, they've not come to work 3 days. It's no longer a hangover, And I feel like for me, why it was such a critical topic for us to have is because I've had to break news to my team twice that someone in the team committed suicide. And from what you're saying, I could see how they started and how they ended up here. And so I'd like you, Daniel, to sort of like expound some of the effects, especially with the professions in the marketplace, how it affects them mentally, physically, in the family space, financially, and even the mental, because I know sometimes we don't really talk about bipolar, we don't talk about but there's nothing like that psychologically speaking. Over to you.
Effects. When we talk about effects, one, we have to talk about addiction and the different types of addictions that are there. So we have basically like 2 types. So there is the substance addictions, and then there is the process addictions. So substance ni hizo zenye tunaongeleleanga sana. Kunywa pombe, bangi, cocaine, nini, prescription pills, Clara, you have mentioned, those are becoming a huge thing in the market right now. And then there's a process which is more in terms of behaviors. Gambling, sex addictions, porn addiction, shopping.
Kuna watu hapa.
Watu wanakula sana.
Their bank is very happy, but they're not happy.
All those. And once you look at that scope, you can now understand that some addictions are very silent but very powerful. And these like now the behavioral ones. Kwa marketplace, hizi ni vitu uonangi. Msee ana battle vitu za porn, masturbation, gambling. People are running companies bankrupt or into nini because of their gambling habits, and you can't tell.
You're saying that you've reminded me of someone who used to sleep in the office. They would shower in the toilet. And we didn't know. It took, I think, almost 6 months for someone to actually notice that this person is always the last to leave. But the first 6 months, you're very diligent. And only to realize that his whole salary he used to bet on a famous company here. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Nowadays hizo gambling kuna wengine wanafuata mandege huko saa zote. So when you look at it from that perspective, then we come to the perspective of the effects. And as we are treating people, we look at the different dimensions of a person. So there's a biological, there's a psychological, there's an emotional, spiritual, social context. And addictions affect every one of those contexts. Some might be affected differently, like the people who are affected biologically, haraka sana. Kuna mtu anakunywa pombe anaanza kugonjeka, hospitalization, nini. Psychologically, there are people who use drugs and trigger these conditions that you're talking about, which sometimes we call comorbid.
Comorbidity.
Yeah. So you find someone drinks or uses weed, then along that line, they get psychosis, or they get bipolar or schizophrenia. Some, it's the other way around. The bipolar will lead them to or the schizophrenia will lead them to the drinking or using whatever substance they use. So the effects are there. And we have to also learn about the symptoms of picking out these things. And some are very simple things that you can pick out, but sometimes at ways, like things like even someone not shaving their hair, their grooming just being a bit off. No, you're not comparing it to someone the way someone has been. Yes, you're comparing it to the way someone has been. Mtu alikuwa well-kept, ameanza kukua, anakaa disorderly. Those small cases of absenteeism, mtu kupiga to calls, today I'm not feeling well, and then it's a Monday. Zingine tuna-assuming tu, tunasema, sawa. But those small things are some of the effects we pick. Some people just, like the way you're saying, once you go out for lunch, you're having those 2 happy hours. And you see, sometimes it will extend. Or sometimes someone will come in and they're smelling of a bit of booze. And you will pick it, but you'll not really put a lot of thing to it. And then you see in the marketplace, these things have been normalized. Because people, one, don't have the information.
Yeah.
Then secondly, this is kawaida. Because for me, the places I've worked with that have encouraged such things, you find that the management or the directors, they are very into those things. And watu wa happy, watu wa sherehe, so they're like, si majama wangu wakifanya job, lazima wakwe wanakaa poa, wako sawa. So the effects are there, but the most damning effects are those of now resorting to other health issues. Because on the family front, there's a lot of abuse. Hizi vitu nasikia sexual abuses. I work even in the jail systems, and you find that you go in and you're finding like 70% of the people who are there, while they committed those crimes, they were under the influence of something. So this becomes a very big thing. A lot of people who are single mothers and all that. Majority wengine, kuna wale siku hizi nyinyi mnasema mimi nataka tu mtoi tu hivyo. But majority unapata the guy had issues or the lady had issues and they wouldn't form that family unit. So these consequences, they are there at every front. And if they are picked rightly, if people are informed to pick them rightly, we can save lives even before things can go out of hand.
I really love that. And I would want to understand, because we don't have the right information, as you said. Sometimes we don't know how to handle this. If you look at it from a church perspective and you call us and say that, oh, my son is, or my daughter is going through this, ukita press it, tunakuja na anointing. Right? We are ready to kill. We'll say it's a demon,
Exercise.
We are exercising. And sometimes even in the office, you don't know how to handle this as a leader, even as a colleague. I remember when you told me how to introduce you and you gave me recovering addict, and I was like, shindwe katika jina la Yesu, you've already recovered. And it's a title you wear proudly. So because you both have experiential learning and the psychological learning and the spiritual learning, how should we treat people going through this? I feel like such a sensitive topic. It can bring shame. It can bring judgment. You can deviate to the spirit side so much and you ignore behavioral things. You ignore even your upbringing and circumstances. So guide us on how do we even need to label it? First, how do we talk about it? How do we approach somebody and also speak about why the recovering addict title is still very key for you.
Okay. Well, those are so many questions
Sorry.
in one. But I'll try my best. One is to say that information is key. So we need to really educate people out here what addiction is all about. Addiction is that disease that is a bit, what do we call it? It's seen as immoral in some context. Yani, wewe uko na ufala, kwa nini unajifanyisha hizi vitu? Kwani uone unatupatia shida? You see, some people it's very spiritual that kuna kitu ulifanya.
Hata tunaita spirits.
Kuna kitu ulifanya, but we don't really disregard all those contexts. They are very important contexts, because even one of the things that has been very key to my recovery is the spiritual context of recovery. The spiritual angle. It has been very key. But now there's the medical angle that we really need have to know that this is a disease. Then all those things we were saying, how it starts, how it goes. Because you'll find people encouraging hata watoi wao that once you get, maybe you're 18 and you're with your family. So nikiona unakunywa kidogo, I'm like, it's not biggie. Control tu. Usikunywe sana, ama usi overdo. You see. But the thing I think that will work fast is normalizing these conversations. That we normalize these conversations, one, to get rid of the stigma, because that stigma ndio inatuumiza sana. That is what ensures that people don't speak out. Because I'll go to talk and I'm like, we drink with you and I'm telling you, hey, I think I have an issue here, and you're telling me, hey, what issue? Si kunywa tu pole pole kama sisi. Wacha hiki na wachana makali, wacha hii.
Kunywa bia.
So starting to understand those concepts, that for me, the difference between me, because there is me, the alcoholic. Let me use my example. There's me, the alcoholic, and there's the normal drinker. Who in my context is a non-alcoholic. You see, that definition is really key when I'm thinking about how to help someone. A non-alcoholic reacts very normally to a drink. So this person will drink. Once you drink, what is a drink supposed to make you do? A drink is supposed to get you high. So a normal drinker will drink 1 bottle, 2 bottles. By the time he's getting to the 4th, he's getting tipsy. And he's feeling like, ni kama ninalewa. So he will slow down. He'll start asking for some meat.
Water.
Start thinking of water. And start saying, I think I've had enough. I need to go home. Maybe tomorrow I have work. But the alcoholic in this context, once I start drinking, I can't have enough. For me, I start craving more and more and more. Okay. So by the time I'm getting to the 4th one, if you tell me about going home, nashindwa wewe, kona shida gani wewe? Ndio party inaanza na unaniambia. Because that's how you get, I'll move from this bar because nyinyi sasa mmeanza kunijudge. Sikunywi kama nyinyi, niende kuingine kwenye sijaji. So that's the difference. And you see, it's good to have those conversations of, one, we know that these things are caused by, one, it's genetic. There are people who are genetically predisposed. And then the others out of the environment, unaenda hiyo njia. So for people who are genetically disposed, it's good to have that information. That I know my granddad, maybe my great-great-granddad walikuwa alcoholics, or they either had mental health issues. And it isn't as direct ati juu alikuwa anakunywa wewe utakunywa. It is as diverse as juu alikuwa alcoholic unaweza kuwa schizophrenic. Because it's a mental health issue. So it's chemical imbalances in your mind. So it doesn't have, so nikijua in our family tree that there are people who have been through different mental health issues, then I have to be very cautious about my mental health, because it's very easy for me to be predisposed to that lineage. And then it doesn't have to go at uka baba mtoto hivo. Your dad can be as sober as a judge, but wewe inakutandika inakumaliza. So all this information, it's a lot of information that needs to be demystified, but the key context is that we need to have these conversations. That is where the healing starts. Once the conversations are there, someone like me and others who are living with these issues, he can be able to directly disseminate their understanding of these issues to people. We can have platforms where people are encouraged to talk about these things. Those who are going through, you see, like how I commented about the stages, and you're like, okay, nilikuwa najiangalia. You see, that's how healing starts. Because mtu atakuja akwambia, we, hata mimi nimejiangalia.
Niko
Like,
social.
like now I have counseling sessions with students in a campus somewhere. And they'll come, they'll tell you, hey, you shared something, and I was like, hey, I need to come speak to you. I don't think I have a problem, but I think it's going there.
Yeah.
I've started losing some things. I've started breaking up some relationships, and I know this is a common thing. About the name, a recovering addict. One, I will say, for me, saying that I'm a recovering addict, it's kind of empowering to me. It's kind of an empowering name, because I know I have survived something which is not normal. Because if I compare where I was and all the people that were with me, I've lost so many friends, so many close friends. I've buried so many. For those 7 years I've been sober. And the reason why I've buried them is because they didn't get a chance as I got. So I have to bring myself to that understanding. Then, the context of what I'm doing right now, I consider myself as a God-given healer. In what context? Whatever I share in my recovery is kind of empowering or healing to other people. So it's like I have the gift of healing, because there are people I have shared to, and they have, you know how Jesus alikuwa anakuambia pick up your bed and go. The people I've shared to, and they have walked a free man. See, they have been liberated because of that awareness that Allah. So this is the thing that has been destroying my life. Let me try those things you're telling me. So that term, once I share it, once it reduces the stigma for those people who think that I'm there as a preacher or as a condemner. Ati nimetoboa na nyinyi mnasafa tu. And then it gives me that ability to believe that it is a gift. My addiction is a gift. Because if it weren't for my addiction, I wouldn't be seated here. So the reason why I'm here is because I'm an addict in recovery. And the reason why I go to any platform is because I'm an addict. So I'm a child of God first. Then I'm an addict next. Then all these other titles follow. Because one thing I'll tell you about my recovery and how I base it is that nothing comes before my recovery apart from God. So it's a child of God, then an addict. Because what I know, if I fall back, everything I have vanishes. Everything, even that family I'm saying I have, the job I have, everything I have, the titles I would have. If I don't stick to my routine that protects my recovery, I lose everything. So that makes these are discussions I've even had with my family, because my wife knows. She comes after the addiction. Because in the addiction, we were not together. We wouldn't sit at the same table. Now, because I have that gift of recovery, we can sit and make decisions and talk. And she treats me like a normal person. Before it wasn't that way. So I have to always remind myself that first it's God, because God created me. Then next is this addiction that I'm living with. Because once I remind myself that, then every day I have to do something that supports my recovery. Every day, basically. When I'm starting the day, lazima nijiulize, what am I doing today for my recovery? Over the years, it has become natural. There are things I do for my recovery. From knowing that it's God-given, then trickling it down to doing some stuff for management and stuff. So that's why that word is so important. Because one, it denotes my acceptance, denotes my victory, denotes whatever I'm doing as I progress with life. Yes.
Understood. The last question for me before I hand it over to Clara. Are you able to share with us, if someone is struggling who's listening to us, how do they even make that first step? And how, if you're already making that first step and you're in the process of, how do you maintain it?
Okay. Yeah, and that is a whole sequence of things, but the most important thing is just first understanding that I have a problem. That acceptance that hii mambo iendi poa, I think kuna kitu iendi poa. That is really important, because once you have that in your mind, then you're able to start thinking of what you can do. Basically, the first thing people opt to do is to try to heal themselves, their own ways. But I'll assure you, your own way doesn't work, because already your mind is contaminated. What happens with addictions, it tunes your mind in such a way that you always go back. So even when you're doing good things or you're doing good projects, it will take you in a circle, utajipata pale pale. So that's why we tell people first, it's good to seek professional help. Just talk to someone. Help them understand that you think you have a problem. It's good to choose who you speak to, because of those issues of shaming and those contexts, and also the understanding of those people. So kuna mtu utaenda kueleza zile vitu wanakwambia, unasikia ai bado unaona
ukikuja kwangu tunafanya anointing,
piga magoti, and it's good because I tell people, and like for me, when I'm doing addiction counseling, I want people to be at the driving seat of the whole context. And one of the things is that I'll give you the options that are there and tell you to choose. Na hiyo maombi ni moja. Nakwambia jaribu kuokoka. Mimi niliokoka mara 30. Yenye nakumbuka. And I would go to the church and kneel and cry. I was like, hey, I'm a big cry. Sijui ni aje sijalia huko. So I go kneel. Saa zingine hata napatia pastor kale kapombe kako kwa mfuko na mwambia mimi sikunywi tena. And then I'm going back to the seat and I'm wondering, sasa nimempatia nini? Si ningemaliza alafu niokoke. So those options are there. Seek professional help. Sometimes it's good to talk to people who have been through the journey. So seek them out, because right now there are a lot of resources even online of people sharing their videos of what they did, how they overcame. So one thing I'll tell people, ukiwa uko kwa kitanda yako in those hangover Mondays or hizo blues za kusikia vibaya, hizo moments of depression, ingia online manzi. There's a lot of content from survivors, and it gives you bits and bits of what you can do. Then start trying. Write them down. Start trying. So I'll tell people to seek professional help. There are therapists all over. Seek someone who can really help you. Talk to people who you think and really evaluate. And don't fixate on something. Really evaluate. Have someone to work with. Look for a very trusted friend and a support person to work with. Then for me, my maintenance program, firstly, it's God. I have to really stay close to God. God gives me the power. Because there's a book I usually read that talks about when I was suffering, lack of power was my dilemma. I had to find a power that would work for me. And that was my relationship with God. And I had to establish it really, really personally, on a personal level. So God, then there are different support groups. One of the major support groups in the world of alcoholism is Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a program that was founded somewhere in 1935 and has been working, has millions all over the world. In Kenya, we have so many meetings. We have online meetings on a daily, Zoom meetings that are live, morning, afternoon, evening. There are physical meetings all around town. So these are resourceful people who have walked the journey and are willing to work with you. It's a free resource for that matter. It's a free resource and it's a very great support group. And it's not, there is Alcoholics Anonymous that is limited to alcoholism. They use a program they call the 12-step program. So it has an outlined program that helps you to really connect with God and help you overcome your alcoholism. Then there are other support groups for other issues. People who are going through gambling issues, there is Gamblers Anonymous. All these are 12-based support groups, 12-step-based support groups. There's Narcotics Anonymous, there's Marijuana Anonymous, Nicotine Anonymous, Sexaholics Anonymous, Death Turtle. Anything you're going through, find a support group, because these are people who understand and will work with you. Yeah, and generally, for me, it's to just try to hang around people who are supportive. Hang around supportive spaces. Do what you can. But the ideal for me has been, one, I really have to accept. I really have to surrender. Addictions are the only form of disease that you really win by surrendering. Yeah, you really win by getting to a place where unasema, mi nimechoka. Mi God enyewe, hii kitu imenishinda. Then you start looking for help, and God intervenes through the help you're looking for.
Wow, Clara, Mom.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's been insightful. And not just insightful, but also inspiring and encouraging for everyone who's listening, me included. And I'd like to usher us into the last part of the conversation, where we share a parting shot. So someone who's listening, different types of people who don't even know what we're talking about, they're like, hey, what was that conversation? Then there are people who are related to people who are struggling. There are people who are related to people who are recovering. There's someone probably who's in that process. What would be your parting shot?
I start.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, the star.
Wow, this is always the trickiest part, because you have a lot of things to share. But one, the highlight is a tagline I really like to use. It's there is a solution. Regardless of what you're going through. For me, I usually tell people I feel like I'm a person who has been to hell. And the devil refused to usher me.
Akasema rudi home. Rudi mbinguni, you don't belong here.
Yako ni noma. So for everyone out there who feels like they're struggling, it might not be addiction necessarily. There is a solution. This world is made in such a way that it's very spiritual. And it's very godly. And God is, you know how God says, I am. Yeah, it's I am. For me, the context of I am is, I can be anything you want me to be for you. You see, I can be your healer, I can be your protector, you everything. I am. Yeah. And that's what I've envisioned in my life. That whatever I want, whatever I desire from God, He's there. So to anyone out there, whatever you're going through, whatever you whether it's good things, bad things, just know that it's a one thing. It's God. We all are part of God, and it's a wonderful life. It's a very, very wonderful life. Despite everything, it's a wonderful life, and all we have to keep in mind is that we are here for a purpose. One thing that has really kept me going and kept me winning in terms of what I consider to be my wins it's that the attitude of serving. Service is what is part of the start solution. And as long as you're serving, the world will unfold in a way that you have never imagined. So there's a solution. I think that's my parting shot.
Well, for me, I would say my parting shot is to have that open line of communication with yourself. I think from what you've shared, ulikuwa unajiita meeting. Even in the darkest times, you are always reflecting. You're like, I mean, am I on the right track or not? And I think sometimes when you're going through a dark phase, there's no outside light. But somewhere within you, there's that sense, as you were saying, there's a sense that things are not okay. Things are not as okay as they were before or as I would want them to be. So I just encourage each one of us to always reflect. Wherever you are in life, this might not be, as you said, this might not be something that you are overcoming at the moment, but it could be, for instance, stagnation. It could be growth. Just keep on reflecting, and God is kind enough to tell you the truth, even when you can't see yourself in a mirror or your society is not giving you the honest truth. God will always speak in you and tell you, by the way, this is not it. Or this looks like it, but it's not it. So for me, that is what I have taken home. And yeah, Pressy, how about you?
I would say what your story teaches me, Daniel, is the power of community. And that community can break you, or it can make you. You can be surrounded by people who take you to hell or redirect you back to the right place. And it's so important to have discernment. But I think even more so have personal agency, because from what I hear is that at every point there was a flicker of a will to live. Even when things were so bad, you'd still say, now things are bad. I need to get help. And it sounds to me that there was community behind you who was ready to step in and get you the help, be it your parents, your wife. And I can see that even with your rehab, that's exactly what you're creating, a community where people feel this is normal and you can make it. So thank you so much for your story.
Thank you.
Daniel, if people want to reach to you, where do they find you?
My phone number first. Hiyo ndio direct sana.
Kama unataka wasome ama wakutumie email, unataka wakupate.
Keje wanafanya. So sini nisome namba. 0720-233-238. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We bless your journey. We bless your mother, father. We bless your wife.
It's a pleasure.
And I pray that you'll continue to impact so many people as you have done so many others. And so now why have you not subscribed?
At this point,
Shirley. Like sneaky ya kutunyima. So if you've been empowered by this story, this is the Purpose Exchange podcast, and we always tell it's a platform where we are exchanging things that we have carried for purpose. And so if this was impactful to you, share with a friend, share with a family, share with a colleague, share with your boss. They might be struggling. Share with other people who might benefit with this contact, and give us those likes, subscribe, reach out to Daniel, and also reach out to us. It's a community of psychologists for some reason, and we'll be ready to work with you in this journey. So until next time,
bye.
ciao.
Bye.